Reading furnishes the mind with only the materials of knowledge. It is thinking that makes what we read ours. So, John Locke was this English philosopher and political scientist from the 17th and 18th century whose ideas on human nature permeate into modernity. Replying to Descartes, he helped trailblaze not only the field of empiricism, but also the concept of human rights, and is a direct inspiration behind the American founding fathers' belief structures. In his response to Descartes, he was critical of the notion that all that exists is ideas and our minds. Locke deduced that all of our information on which we draw conclusions comes directly from our senses, however flawed they may be, not from reason alone. He said that all humans were born tabula rasas, or blank slates, with no knowledge regarding the world until we begin experiencing it, either directly or indirectly. He still left room for mathematics as a separate kind of truth, though. He divided truth into two categories: those that are known prior to our experience, a priori truths, and those known only through experience, or a posteriori truths. Good examples of a priori truths include mathematics and geometry. Triangles will always have three sides, and 2 plus 2 will always equal 4, no matter what we experience. A good example of a posteriori truths is the phrase, "It will rain tomorrow." The phrase could be either true or false, but the universe won't stop working if it is false. It doesn't need to be true, but it can be. The only way to be certain of an a posteriori truth, unlike a priori, is to experience them and collect data through observation, since you can't predict the weather using reason alone. Locke applied this distinction to our experience of reality, saying that the phrase, "the world we experience is true reality," may not be as certain as a math equation, but our consistent experience of the world since birth enables us to say it is real. Just like during a storm, you can say pretty definitively that it is raining using your direct sensory experience. On top of bringing philosophy back to reality, he also pioneered the fundamental human rights of life, liberty, and property. They might sound familiar, as Thomas Jefferson copied them almost directly, albeit changed property to the pursuit of happiness, for his own political motivations. The first fundamental human right he laid out was the right to life. The right to life is the right to control your own body and be alive. By virtue of being alive, we have the right to continue living and not die. The second fundamental human right he laid out was the right to liberty. The right to liberty is the right to act freely as your will commands, without being controlled by another party. One can choose to listen to others, or disobey and face consequences, so even obedience is still a choice in Locke's eyes, albeit a limited and constrained one. The third fundamental human right Locke laid out, and the one Thomas Jefferson omitted, was the right to property. The right to property is the right to the fruits of one's labor, which is sometimes interpreted as the labor theory of property, not to be confused with the labor theory of value, which is the foundation of Marx's work in economics. Even though his political work is controversial and flawed in some locations, Marx's observation that the value we place on goods and services is based on the work that is put into them is directly influenced by Locke's labor theory of property, which Locke declared as a natural human right. Jefferson changed this to the right to pursue happiness, because he owned slaves, who cannot own the fruits of their own labor, while he owned the fruits of theirs. To avoid the hypocritical contradictions, he changed it to the pursuit of happiness, which is far more intangible and elusive of a right, that still justified slavery in his mind. Imagine how different the landscape of America would be like had that one natural right remained unaltered, as Locke intended. That every worker be entitled to the sweat of his brow, as Ayn Rand would say, rather than the right to chase after the fruits of his labor. Things could be a lot better, things could be a lot worse. I don't know. I could be thinking a bit too much about this. And the pursuit of happiness is just another typo in the Declaration, alongside the others. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, or continue watching my other videos. See you in the next video.